we are associated with a company which comes from Australia. With their help, we have developed some products in India which we sell and promote. Believe me or not, out of the 60 odd employees that we have in Australia, 50% are Indian. 95% of the products that we have in India are not our own, thanks to
Yeah.
Modi ji. That we are going out, we are venturing out and showcasing our skills to the world. That yes, we are also capable of executing excellent projects.
I remember I had scored criminally high marks in my engineering, and just after passing out the next day, I forgot everything that I had written in my papers. So that is the problem with our ecosystem.
I developed products in India and we sold the first lot of products in Middle East. Nobody purchased in India. They were more confident than my Indian brothers and sisters, so-called, to accept my capability, my product, and a product coming out of Indian soil.
Okay, so ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, good morning, good afternoon, or good evening to you, depending on where you're joining us from. Welcome to Towards a Better World, my community on Thinkly, where we speak to some of the most inspiring voices from all walks of life. I'm super excited about today's episode because our guest today, as the title of the episode says, is a founder with a difference. Let me give you some context. If you remember, during the recent Startup Mahakumbh in India, our Honorable Minister for Commerce and Industry, Mr. Piyush Goyal, had held a mirror to us when he cautioned us that Indian startups were getting more about fast deliveries of groceries and food, unlike our Chinese counterparts who were more focused on technologies of the future. And he also mentioned that the work we are doing could be classified as entrepreneurship, but it's not exactly startups in the classical sense of the term. While many Indians understandably got touchy about his candid observations, the fact remains that he is right. Okay, we may have infrastructural challenges when we compare ourselves with China at this point in time, but still, the fact remains that we are indeed lagging behind China when it comes to the startup universe. What makes today's episode so special because of that is that our guest today is a founder of an engineering firm in this day and age of delivery app startups. The other good thing that sets him apart is that he has so far grown his company without external funding and he has built it up from the scratch all by himself. A recipient of several accolades, including the prestigious Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam Excellence Award for outstanding individual achievements and service to the nation, while his company has been awarded the fastest growing Indian Company Excellence Award. In today's episode, we will unpack Shubhendu's story, his beginnings, the challenges that he's faced, and we'll also seek his recommendation on how we as a nation can do better in nurturing startups like his, indeed make ourselves 100% Atmanirbhar Bharat or self-reliant India. Lastly, this is personal. What makes today's episode so special and dear to me, like I was telling the Thinkly team just prior to starting this episode today, is that Shubhendu happens to be not just one of my college dorm mates with whom I go back more than 30 years, but is also one of my thickest personal friends and someone with whom I don't just share the same birth year with, but also the same birth month with. In fact, we are born just a week apart. So, with much pride, I welcome my very dear friend and our special guest for today. Welcome Subhendu Roy to Towards a Better World. Welcome Subhendu.
Thank you, Ayan, for inviting in this interesting podcast of yours. The series have been doing well and admired by everybody. So it's a privilege to be in your show. And good morning, good afternoon, good evening from wherever you people are joining this show of our Ions. And uh, thanks again. Little nervous because you are such a good orator to face you on a camera talking to you is tough at times. But anyways, I will try my best. And thanks again for inviting.
So this is just Shubhendu's way of pulling my leg for the viewers. I mean, he is just being his modest self because as he starts talking and when you listen to the work, the amazing work that he does, I mean, he doesn't need words to describe it. His work speaks for itself. So Shubhendu, let's dive into it. Tell the viewers. I know much about it, but you can tell the viewers first. Tell us about your company and what makes it stand out because your company is in a space where there are a number of other small and medium sized enterprises in India who do a similar kind of work, and yet your company stands out? Can you tell us about the USPs of your organization and what do you do differently that gets it the acceptability that it has earned?
Sure. I will try to uh, explain what we do and how we started. We basically started in 2015, and this was not a planned, this was more of a need. When we started marketing some typical engineering products in India, there was a need that uh, the local billing was needed because of this Make in India or Atmanirbhar Bharat was already implemented, and people were asked to buy more of the Indian products. So we started to bring the innovation driven solution, I would say, in the Indian market from different part of the world. And we started as a agency house for few of the companies globally. Then when we started promoting these products in the market, we found that there is a gap. And when I talk about this gap, basically it's the local products and the imported products. When I talk about the imported products, I'm not only talking about the products that are being imported and sold in India by the agents or the distributors or the SIs, but I'm talking about the products that are manufactured also in India. If you look at the market scenario in India, most of the products we manufacture in India, we don't create. As far as I'm talking about the process automation sector of the industry. There are some sectors that, yes, we have started uh, concentrating on, especially defense, space, for that matter, railways. But when you go to the process automation part of it, there was a gap. So I thought, why not? Let's spend some money on the research and development and see if we can also develop some products in India which are at par with the international standards of product. So we started investing a lot of the revenue that we generated from the sales of the regular products into the research. And we found that yes, if we really concentrate and spend time and resources on these type of products, we can also bring products or develop products or innovate products or create what I call products which are made in India, but not just made in India, it's created in India. A sort of that concept I got into. And then uh, these products I have seen that these products can compete with this the Western counterparts or the Western manufacturers or designers who have bought this product. We are just bringing the technology in, manufacturing it, and catering to the requirement of the industry, but not creating. So that is how we got into this business. And possibly I was a little lucky. I got acclaimed by the Indian Defense, DRDO for that matter, PRC for that matter. Uh, the products that we designed and developed were high-tech products, which were a typical. I will talk about the products in a while, but these were some different products which were not available in the market, and 100% of these products were imported. By imported, I mean even the services were imported. In India, we never had a service engineer who could even install or commission these instruments in India. It was not that we lacked the skill. It was that we never tried or we never concentrated on that part of the service industry also. We thought, okay, we are bringing it from Europe, okay, let them do the job. And we will just take our commission like a agent and sit. I tried changing that concept and got into a service module also. A model, you can say, not a module, supply with a service package. So the advantage what the customers got is that they don't have to wait for weeks for these service engineers to get visa, come to India, and then repair or do some maintenance on these products. So they were available within 48 hours. I can mobilize the team, and the team with all the equipments and spares were at site. So that was the type of uh, concept that I tried bringing in the market, which was lagging. And yes, it worked. Uh, People appreciated, and that's how the basically the journey started. And now we are doing a lot of such activities where you actually need a service support or a technical support 24/7. So, in short, this is what we do. Then, coming to some products, where talking about the products that we do are uh, this was basically a old physics concept that was adopted by the industry, and some very brilliant products were made, which is basically a fiber optic based system, you can call it. So what we do is we send a pulse of laser on the fiber, wait for the backscatter light to come back, and then we analyze this light to either pick up vibration or pick up temperature or pick up strain. So when you have these three physical parameters available with you with the location of the event, you can do a lot of things like pipeline leak detection possible, hotspots on the power cables possible, strain monitoring of the structures possible, many such events, perimeter intrusion detection possible, uh, then slope stability type of events for the mines possible, elephant detection on the railway track, which is one of the very typical application that I would like to discuss later on. We will talk about that. But these are some of the applications, just an example. So wherever vibration, temperature, or strain can be a parameter to predict or identify an event, you are done. You use this technology. The advantage is it's a passive technology. So you don't have any type of sensors or any type of instruments on the field. So just the fiber optic itself works as a sensor for us, and it's a linear detection. So each and every inch of the fiber is being monitored, and you can do miracles with this. Now, I recently read that US is planning to use their complete infrastructure of fiber optic, which is buried, to be used as seismic sensor for detection of seismic activities. So earthquakes and other things they can predict, and they don't have to put anything on the field. They already have kilometers and kilometers of these fibers running across the country. So a great idea. Possibly in future, every country will be doing that for detection of the seismic activities.
Fiber optics, isn't it? I mean, isn't it very susceptible to wear and tear? Because I know that fiber optics for our home fiber network or mobile, it often gets, a small snap and then it goes away. So how do
Yep.
you ensure it doesn't?
Oh, these fibers are basically industrial grade armored fibers, what we use. So, and these are normally either buried or these are encased on some either on a steel casing or
Okay,
an
oh, okay.
aluminium casing to
Understood.
give it a mechanical sturdiness. So,
Understood.
uh, most of the time, these are buried underground and on a conduit. So you have a additional protection other than the armored what you have. Uh, and these fiber optics are very easy to connect these days. Anybody can
Yeah.
connect or join these. So plus these are like hairspans of glass. So very thin, very capable. You can transmit a huge data through them. So yes, a nice technology that we got. And when we started with this particular technology, there were only few applications that were being addressed in India with this technology. Now we introduced, as I said, elephant detection, slope stability, uh, then conveyor health monitoring, which is again a big business. Uh, then perimeter intrusion detection with multiple layers of systems that gets integrated to this. So yes, a lot of things have been done and still lots to go.
Great to hear. Two things. The first is the more, I mean, that's not a very serious thing, is that you have taken over my field of study because you used to be a mechanical engineer and I was an electronics
Actually,
engineer. Now you are explaining to me about electronics and something that I don't understand
that
anymore.
that
So,
that was really a fun to explain you the
yes, so
instrumentation part of, or the electrical instrumentation part of it. But yes, being a mechanical background gives me a edge, I would say, because I can visualize the events that are going to happen, or
yeah,
how the vibration or the temperature or the strain will travel, whether it's a ground, whether it's a structure. That gives me a edge to visualize, yes. But definitely, this was not my subject, but was so interesting that I fell in love with it and started following it, and now
awesome.
I'm 100% into it.
Fantastic. And the second thing is, of course, the applicability for the viewers, as you heard, I mean, the kind of range of tech applications what Shubhendu's organization does. I mean, these are very novel applications which really had a need, and I think what they are doing is filling up that need, and that exactly is in spirit what Atmanirbhar Bharat stands for. That we are not waiting for some European company service people to come after 14 days at their sweet time and charging us an astronomical amount of money for that. So we get an Indian company with Indian engineers do it within 48 hours. So fantastic. One question, a supplementary question to this, Shubhendu, was that you mentioned that there were challenges, and that led you into this, that forced you to come into entrepreneurship. Was that you said that the products were not available in India, and we had Western companies send their products, and we have to, even for micro small components also we have to, and without that component probably the entire the manufacturing setup or whatever it is comes to a halt. That we were dependent for that on Western companies. But it's paradoxical because we Indians, we pride ourselves that some of the best engineers in the world come from India, from our premier institutions in India. And is it because of the brain drain that the same engineers who pass out from India are not available inside India anymore to do the research and development that's needed for companies like yours?
Oh, lovely question. Yes, uh, you are very much correct, I would say, when you say brain drain. Yes, if you see, I will give you a live example. Uh, we are associated with a company which comes from Australia. They have been supporting us, and with their help, we have developed some products in India which we sell and promote. Believe me or not, out of the 60 odd employees that we have in Australia, 50% are Indian. And most of these guys are basically designing, developing, and doing the R&D on the stuffs that comes from either Australia or Europe or US, from whichever location it's coming from. So it, they are all educated here. They are from the premier institutes. Uh, but again, the concern is that the R&D on this type of products is not that popular in India yet. Very sorry to say. Premier institutes like IITs, NITs, they are into research. They do a lot of research. And I will, as far as my understanding or my information about the research that these institutes or premier institutes are doing, they are now more into ML AI type of research, cybersecurity type of research. And earlier they were into energy, environmental sciences, biotechnology. That was some of the subjects that these guys were concentrating on, all the institutes, basically. Uh, I believe the reason was that the demand for these disciplines were more abroad. So they were training their students accordingly so that they can go abroad and fit to these disciplines or the job profiles. But if you talk about the regular process control instruments, like flow, temperature, pressure type of instruments, already we were manufacturing, and we were manufacturing the designs of the Western countries in India. We have put up factories, they have invested a lot. We are just manufacturing their design. So there was not much need of this research or this investment of time or resources to develop these products. Nobody thought on these lines. Okay, we get it. But then again, so they concentrated more on the disciplines that were in more demand abroad. That is what I personally feel. But yes, as on date, if you look at the process control part of it, forget about the fiber optic based business. I'm talking about the standard instruments, pressure, temperature, flow, and pressure, flow, temperature, and level. 95% of the products that we have in India are not our own. Means we have not created that. We are manufacturing that. And even if we have created, few companies have invested and tried to create some products which are designed and developed in India using the resources that are available or left out, I would say. The problem is the acceptability again, because these products are already in the process industry for long. People have used it, they are comfortable with these products. But when it comes to a make in India product or made in or designed in India or developed in India product, people have concerns. They don't want to give it a try or give it a opportunity to prove its worth. That these products which are developed in India and coming out of the Indian desks or companies are at par with the international quality or standards of product. So yes, these people are going out, they are working in these so-called Western countries who are developing and designing these products, and we are using the same products in India, but designed and developed somewhere else. Just we are putting make in India because that is what is needed.
Do some of the Western technology companies? I mean, I get your point that uh, uh, the research in the premier institutes, say like IITs, etc., would be focused on machine learning, artificial intelligence, and robotics and stuff like that. And probably instrumentation is something which is not a new and shiny kind of a technology. So it's a
Exactly.
pre-existing technology. So do these Western organizations which have manufacturing in India, do they dump their obsolete models and technologies on India, or do they use the latest technologies in India?
Good question. Many a times, yes, they do. You don't in US. I have seen the series of their new product line, which are available in US, are at times not available in India.
Yeah.
Even if you go to the PLC or DCS part of the business, you will not find few boards that are prevalent or being used extensively in the Western countries are available in India. It comes
Mhm.
to India, but quite late.
End of life cycle. So basically,
Yeah,
when it reaches
possibly
the end
end
of
of
life
life
cycle,
cycle, or when people in India become demanding, they go abroad because now India has also globalized. Thanks to
yeah.
Modi ji for that. That we are going out, we are venturing out and showcasing our skills to the world. That yes, we are also capable of executing excellent projects, complete refineries, complete power plants we are doing, dams we are doing. So, yes, the skills are there, but we were not getting that exposure, I would say, to go global. So now that has happened. So people now, now suppose you go for a project in Middle East or say Europe, the specs that they will write will not match with the specs that we have in India.
Right.
Then you have to force the OEM to give you that particular product because that is in the specs. So then they are compelled, I would say, to give you that or to open up that segment of the product line for you to use. So
Understood.
once you use it, you know how it works. Then when you come back and do a Indian project, you try to implement that here, and you become demanding. So they are
Exactly.
left with no options but to offer you that. Otherwise, you will go to a different manufacturer. So that is
Understood.
how it works. But yes, uh, uh, it happens. It happens that we get at times we get the products that are almost at the end of their life cycle to use.
Understood. And for the viewers, Shubhendu's company, he has recently opened an office in Dubai as well, right? So to cater to the Middle East market, which they are doing extensive work there. So that was there. So coming to this research and development, Shubhendu, you mentioned that engineers, there is brain drain and all, I understand. But I know that all the premier education institutes have got they do white papers, they do research on various subjects. So have you ever tried to collaborate with say an IIT or a BHU is also IIT, say Roorkee's IITs or some of the top Manipals of the world? I mean, have you ever gone there and tried to forge a partnership at an educational institution level where they could come out with these research projects?
Yes, we have tried getting to the universities. We have had some, I would say, detailed discussion on some of the premier institutes. As I said, some of the applications that we do are very critical and typical, I would say. One of them being, I will just to make keep it short, I will take one application and we will talk about that. So it will be easy to understand my approach and what response I got from these premier institutes. Uh, there is an application called slope stability in the mines. So these are for the open cast mines, and you might have seen quite a landslide and collapses on the mines where the slope, the cut ground collapses, and a lot of people die. A lot of equipments and other things gets buried. So it's a common event in India. Uh, the reason why it happens is because one of the part of the ground which has been excavated starts getting more of strain and tends to collapse. Now, when we talk about collapse, it doesn't happen in a day. It takes months or years also before it actually collapses. So there was a need to address this, and the institutes that basically cater to these type of events, uh, they came up with a solution which is basically a Doppler radar. So when you talk about a Doppler radar, the physics doesn't match the need, I would say. Uh, Maybe I'm wrong, people will have contradiction to that, but my understanding about Doppler radar is it's a radar that can only detect when there is a movement. If there is no movement, it cannot see anything. So we are talking about a technology which can see when the movement has started, right? So I think it's
Prevent,
too late.
preventive. So you were saying
Yeah, it's a preventive. It's
Doppler
not
radar
even
will be
preventive
something
also.
like an ECG, right? It
Yeah,
can
it's
measure
like an
only when something
ECG.
has
When you
happened.
already have a heart attack, it can tell you that you have a heart attack, but how to stop it, you don't know,
Correct.
right? But we gave a solution to this problem, which is I have instances in India where the Dopplers are already installed and still they have collapses. It has happened in quite a few mines in across India. Uh, so we came up with a solution with the Australian counterparts that you have an option that you can measure the strain on the ground. You pick up the strain, plot it on a 3D, and the section of the mines that sees more strain can be identified and predicted even when you have a micron of movement on the ground. So it's a microstrain we are talking about. We are picking up microstrain, plotting it over time, and giving you a curve that tells you that this A section of the mines is vulnerable to a failure. So either you stop mining or remove people or do some preventive or measures to ensure that the landslide doesn't happen, reinforce or do something. did some trials across many industries. The premier institutes witnessed, appreciated the product, and agreed that this is the technology that we have been waiting for. This is the way you can predict a failure quite early. Uh, we had a lot of discussions on this, presentations, paper exchanges. But when it comes to recommendation, I don't know what happens, why they are a little hesitant, but nobody is willing to recommend. They will, if you invite them, they will come and witness, they will appreciate, they will sign your documents and go. But when, I don't know, I'm not very comfortable. But yes, recently I came to know that I think it's NIT Durgapur. They collaborated with a company in Kolkata, and they developed, I would say, they created a product in India for the first time I have heard, which basically does partial discharge on the transformers. So if you can pick up the partial discharge early, you can save the transformer before it blasts. So it's a preventive measure that you are able to now offer to the industry. It's not that it was not there. It was there. It was coming from the European countries. We were paying crores for a sensor. Now it's in lakhs. So 1/10 or 1/20th of the cost has gone down. Plus, you have an Indian product. You have all the services available in India. You have the spares available in India, and the brain behind the technology is in India. It is also in India. So that is something which is needed. So universities, some universities, when I spoke to them, said that we have 50, 60, 70 research papers being published in the Western media every year.
Mhm.
Excellent. But if you are so popular and you are being invited to for your papers in the Western media, why not India? Why not you give opportunity to the Indian students, the young generation, to work on these research papers that you are publishing there and let them work and do something here. So that can be a help to the students. More people or the masters and PhD students can get more newer or more relevant products, projects that are needed in the industry, which they can help in future to grow. But uh, as I said in your previous question, that it's more of a demand than what you can. So the demand of, because these type of demands are not, these type of demands for the students are not there, so people don't produce these type of PhD students or master students. One more thing I saw when I visited few of the labs, they have brilliant labs, latest instruments that are available in the market. But even the PhD students are more of a theoretical approach. They are not doing much of the hands-on type of experiments. It's on the paper, yes, they know everything, which as far as the theory is concerned. But you and me know that I don't remember anything of engineering that I read, or it's just that it, we have to go through that process. We have gone through that process, and that's what happens for the masters and the PhD students also. If you compare a premier institute of India with a premier institute of Germany or Russia or even China for that matter, they are more practical oriented
Okay.
rather theory oriented. We are more into theories. So that is where I believe that we can change. Universities are changing. As I said, NIT Durgapur has taken a brilliant step. I appreciate. We approached BHU, we approached IITs, uh, universities like Dhanbad, which are, which is, since childhood we have heard that that is the most premier institute for mining. Yeah. So mining means Dhanbad. So these students, professors, they should take up these and bring these new technologies to the industry and endorse that yes, we have tested this. We are open to help them with the system. Even I have invited many of these professors and HODs for discussions for international exposures where the instruments are mounted and working. That let's go there, talk to the users, and see how much they have been benefited. So that will give you some idea. I will give you an instrument free. You test it, put your lab, simulate it, create some dams, create something, some structures, and test these, and you will start feeling the response of these instruments. As I said, it always doesn't work for me. Maybe others have some different opinion, experience, but as far as my experience are concerned, uh,
I agree.
right now also I am in discussion with one of the IITs. So they are very keen for this slope stability and conveyor health monitoring, where we are analyzing and predicting the failures. So they intend to take it further. Let's see how it goes.
No, great, great. No, I agree. And I totally agree to this point that Indian education had been always skewed towards theoretical instead of being hands-on and application based. And it's changing. It's changed a lot in the since the time we passed out engineering. During our times, I remember I had scored criminally high marks in my engineering, and just after passing out, the next day I forgot everything that I had written in my papers. So that is the problem with our ecosystem. And I think even these students which you mentioned, they do these papers for the Western media or houses or whatever you call it, is because probably they serve them better to go to those countries and pursue further education there when they publish it there, rather than doing a project which is India focused, which might not fetch them the, I don't know, probably that's how it works. So that's, but it is changing. And I am on the board of a Western university now, so I can understand how they are getting more and more hands on when, even when it comes to the India campuses. But we still have to connect the dots if we have to make it really an Atmanirbhar Bharat in that full sense. I think it has to be end to end, from academics to industry. They have to be well merged into each other. So I wanted to touch on one more very sensitive thing, Shubhendu, which is financing. So I know that, like I said in my introductory pitch about you, is that you have built your company by yourself from scratch. You never went seeking external funding. But was it by design, your own free will, or was it more by default? Because there are some hurdles when it comes to financing of engineering small and medium enterprises like yours. So, what are the challenges that you have faced, if you have faced, in financing?
It's been a roller coaster for me, especially the financing. Uh, it's not easy for an engineering company, especially research and development doing company, to get a funding in India. I agree that fund financing is available across India. You can easily get funding. But if you are into games, mobile games, apps, funding is like this. You pitch your game, your app, whatever funding you want, you get. But when it comes to an engineering product, that also a product that is getting developed, not yet accepted in the market, you are struggling because the PSUs are not giving you a chance. They need PTRs. They will ask you that where you have supplied. But when I have not supplied, you are not buying, nobody is ready to buy my product. How will I generate a reference? Who is going to buy? The amazing part of this is I developed products in India and we sold the first lot of products in Middle East. Nobody purchased in India. They were more confident than my Indian brothers and sisters, so-called, to accept my capability, my product, and a product coming out of Indian soil. They gave me a chance. We did the first oil and gas installation in UAE. So Yes, financing had been a problem. See, if we get a good financing, I know that the scope of expanding this company is enormous. We can easily grow to any level that we need. But the problem is whether you go to an angel investor or you go to investing firms or investing houses, they will listen to you. Yes, a lot of questions will come up, and then the moment they see that it's an engineering product, that too in the developmental stages, slowly they back out. Uh, and that's the reason why uh, we have not grown the way we should have grown, because of the lack of the funding that is needed for a lot of things. You need good people, you need for that you need more money, you need more offices, you need more infrastructure. But yes, that has been a problem. Bankers available, some funds, because of the policies of the Modi government or the BJP government, I would say, are available, uh, which are CGTMSE, they call it, or Pradhan Mantri. Uh, some yojanas are there, so they give you some funding. But when you want to grow a company bigger, you need more funding, and for that you need some substantial amount of revenue coming in. Otherwise, what happens if you get 50%? The planned uh, process cannot be implemented, and that is either neither you are on that side of the business nor this side of the business, so you are stuck. And whatever funding you bring in always will be less. So as I said, that we spend a lot in the R&D. Possibly, if I get into the numbers, should be around 30-35%, or sometimes even more of the revenue that we generate goes to the R&D, because a lot of things we have to do from the scratch, because there is no background of these products in India. Uh, Bring in a lot of test equipments. Uh, People are expensive who are doing this type of research. The other option that I have is to go for SME IPO, which I have not explored yet. But uh, angel investors, investing houses, I have stopped approaching them, because I know that they have their choices. You come up with something which is quick and easy money, they will invest in that. But where you know that there is a growth, but it's not a 90-degree or 60-degree curve that you are having. It's a 15, 20-degree curve or 30-degree curve that goes slow but is steady and will remain there. But yes, it has been a struggle, a lot of hurdles we have faced, and then stopped because, as I said, uh, for me, it didn't work.
Understood. You made an interesting point about public sectors. So I'm sure that the work that you do will have a lot of application in the public sectors, especially the oil and gas refining sectors and as well as the power sector. And we also, began our discussion with, and you made a number of points which were like tying up very well with what I began this conversation with, which is the speech of our Honorable Minister, Shri Piyush Goyal ji. He said exactly the same things. You are making apps, you're making gaming things, and all that, and but not doing serious technical stuff in India. So and it is I am not part of the startup world, so I don't know it. But what you said, it is pretty evident that real engineering probably doesn't have too many takers when it comes to financing, or they maybe they express interest but they back out because they see that it's probably a long haul game and they have to invest till the time it takes off, etc. So which brings me to this public sector thing. Public sectors in India, and where you might be having a big market, but probably you face entry barriers because it's a chicken and egg story. Because on one hand, they will say that you need to have a particular amount of experience and revenues in house to qualify. And on the other hand, you don't even get the projects. So that how can you do that? So that's probably stopping you. And when we talk of the comparison with China, when we say, and I have worked extensively in China as well as other parts of Asia. So in China, as we know, they call it the SOEs, the state-owned enterprises, and all the state-owned enterprises have a way of supporting local organizations. Of course, in China, everything is state-owned, but they have, like, a Chinese project will have ways of promoting the local design institute. They will have a way of promoting the local manufacturing. Even inside each province, they have incentives for, how the provinces in China, they compete with each other in terms of how they are, increasing their advancing their modernization. So I think, is there some kind of, like, can we have some kind of uh, can we think it a little differently when it comes to public sectors on, say, I mean, I'm just thinking out of my hat. I mean, I don't know if that's possible, but if suppose they earmark, say, 30% of their new projects will be they will favor Indian homegrown SMEs. If they can give that advantage, will that is that possible, and can that help?
A brilliant question, and I will give you a small example on this. Middle East followed India as far as Make in India is concerned, or Atmanirbhar Bharat, right?
Mhm,
They also have come up with a concept where you make the stuff locally and they will give you an advantage.
mhm,
They call it ICV, which is in country value addition. So they give you some points. How much percentage of research or creativity is there on that particular product? If you are doing it totally in-house, starting from the design to the development and production, you are 100% ICV. If you are 50%, to give you 50%. If it's 30%, you get 30% marking. So you have a parameter where they are gauging you for the efforts that you have put in for in-country valuation, or I would say make in India. So they give you an advantage even on the tenders. So if there are two bidders, both are locals, one has 47% ICV and the other has 43% ICV. And the 43% ICV guy is L1. Still, the order goes to 47% ICV because his in-country addition to the product
localization is
is
more.
more. So, yes, in China, I believe, as you said, 30-35% what they have reserved for the local companies. We should also have something like that in India that, yes, maybe if we are not very confident about our own products that we come that comes out of Indian desks or Indian companies, give them a chance for the non-critical applications first. Let them work, prove their product, and then slowly accept these products for the critical applications.
Yeah.
Upgrade them. In that way, these companies or the companies like TTSPL, my company, or similar companies, they get some encouragement that, okay, I have got the acceptability
Right.
in the market. I can do better. So what they will do, whatever revenues they now generate out of these small orders that they are getting out of, they will put more resource on the R&D to improve the product further. So in that, that's a cycle. Unless these PSUs, because they are the biggest market in India. So if unless they start this process, you cannot complete the cycle. You cannot expect and complain like what I'm doing that we don't have research and development companies or developing countries companies in India. But that's a fact because I am surviving because of the ego that I have that I will break this barrier once, either today or tomorrow. I am trying my best. But there are companies with who are not able to sell and they close off. They shut down. You will see that because of this startups and Make in India initiatives of the government, a lot of companies have started and people have done really good. People are young students, young entrepreneurs are thinking of their own business rather than joining a job.
Right.
That has also that drift we can see in last 8, 10 years. This has started happening in India. You will see a lot of people who are 2025, they have their own business, which
Yes.
we never thought of. We were more concerned, oh, we have to do a job first, prove ourselves, then we'll think if we can do something. That was our attitude. Means I'm talking about our generation. But the new generation is different.
Yes.
They are taking the risk because they know that government is giving them the exposure. They can go global if they have something that they can offer to the world. But yes, PSUs, I expect, as I said, see, DRDO is a PSU, BRC is a PSU, Army is a PSU, but these are having a very restricted and niche requirement, which is not a regular requirement. It comes, we execute, then for next 5 years there is nothing because
Yeah.
now they have got what they wanted. Now they are doing a new research, so they will come back to you when they are ready with their research and your
Next one.
slot is open.
Yeah.
So, but whereas this PSUs, whether we talk about the power plants, the refineries, or any other the hydro projects, your solars, these should give this new company a chance at least
Mm.
to prove, pitch this product against a proven product, test them, and let the Indian product prove its worth. If it's able to work, if it's able to prove its worth against the so-called imported products or the proven product, give this local company a chance so that
Yes.
they get motivated. So they will work more. They will give you a better service than what these guys can give you sitting some kilometers away.
And I'm sure, and we know that we've had discussions on this before, that the present regime in India, if this shift has to happen, it will probably happen only in this regime, because whatever we are seeing in today's India is that not just the government and the leadership, under you mentioned our Prime Minister, Honorable Prime Minister Modi ji, and of course people like ministers like Piyush Goyal ji, etc. But also the general shift I also notice when I work with when I converse with Indian public sector leaders nowadays, there is a visible change in the psyche and the personalities of the public sector employees, because both of us are kids of public sector employees. Like your dad and my dad were both public sector employees. The people who used to work in public sectors 30 years back, the present generation of public sector employees are much more progressive in their thinking. So so they are willing to take risks, take the new ways to do things, etc. Just the other day I was talking to the executive director of one of the top public sectors, and it never felt that he is a government employee when he was talking. The way he is knowledgeable, the way he's so well informed about everything. So he was so curious to know everything, so that hunger I could sense. So if it has to happen, it will probably happen today, and you have done it. Like you said, DRDO, defense, etc., they might be very niche requirements, but you have nevertheless got acceptance in those. So this brings me to a question, because I have seen some of your work, and if I ask you, tell us some of the favorite projects that you have done, which are closest to your heart. It may not be that they are the highest revenue projects for you, but which are your favorite in terms of your satisfaction in executing them.
Every project that I do is close to my heart, but if you want me to name a few, I would say the elephant detection is one of them, which is,
Mhm.
you can say, a payback to the society or to the world. Why I say payback is these elephants in the forest areas were quite often hit by the trains. And I don't have the exact numbers, but many, many, many elephants used to die every year because of the train running over them. Many universities, many companies tried doing this, coming up with different technologies. uh, to find out or give a solution to the railways. Uh, then, when this requirement was given to us, we had a feel that yes, something can be done, but we wanted to test it first. So, thanks to the, again, as you said, uh, people are ready to accept and help when needed. So, it was NFR, North Frontier Railways, who gave us the first opportunity to test the product. We installed the product, tested it, and luckily, with a little bit of hurdles, it started working. And we were able to make it work within possibly 2 months.
Wow.
And so, and the fun of it was we were picking up each and every elephant crossing on the railway track. We never missed a single one. There were a few false alarms that came up, which we slowly took off and trained the system further to handle the event better. It has been 4 5 years now that the product is in service to the railways, and I can proudly say the sections that we are monitoring, there is zero incidents as on
Awesome.
date. So it's again something to do with the fiber optic system. Yes, we pick up the vibration of the elephant, which is almost not there because they are very soft footed. So you have to pick up that frequency and that sound, eliminate that from the background noise, and then say confidently that this is elephant. So what we do, we pick up the event, we alarm the driver. He carries a iPad now with him. We alarm the station master, and we alarm the nearest gate. So all three who are basically managing the show knows that there is an elephant. Uh, if you go to LinkedIn, go to the NFR GM's uh, portfolio, you will find a lot of videos that he has uploaded, which have been shared to him by the local drivers. That they got an alarm, they stopped the train, they allowed the elephants to pass, then they went. So
Super.
that is one of the best projects that we have done, which is very close to my heart. And we are still executing a lot of such events, such product projects at different part of India. Uh, right now, we are doing a project in South, in Kerala. There is one in UP that we will be executing soon. Odisha, Bengal, and Jharkhand, that belt also will be coming up in future. So there is a lot of sectors that basically needs this particular technology being used. So we are helping, um, and so we are basically the technology partner in that. There are different system integrators who are also involved, who are basically front-ending us with the railways. But yes, it helps. Uh, the other one that you will, I can pitch will be the conveyor health monitoring, which is a major problem with business, and you can say the least attended part of the process plant, because conveyors, it's running, let it run, there is no problem, it's broken, or nobody is bothered about the maintenance or spends any major chunk of their maintenance funds on the conveyors. So what we have done is we have come up with a technology, or again, it's the same system with a new software and a new analysis, signal processing part of it goes in, where we are basically identifying which idler is going to fail. So we can, on a 5 kilometer conveyor where you have a frame which is every meter, and each frame has three idlers. So you can count the number of idlers that you have or the rollers you have. We can pick up, pinpoint in which idler is going to fail in future, and tell the user that these are 5, 10, 12 idlers in your 5 kilometer that you need to replace now. So instead of people walking on the dusty environment, which is risky, and taking the belt is running, you accidents happen, people fall from the heights. We are now, you sit in your air conditioned control room every day morning. I give you a report, look at the report, go check. Yes, these are failed idlers, replace, done. So it's made very easy for the user, basically. So, and there are many, I can keep talking about the applications, but let's
No, two great
keep these
examples.
two at the top.
Yeah, great examples because both of them are not reactive, but they are both proactive and preventative kind of applications, which is what kind of differentiates them. So there are a number of questions also, Shubhendu, and we are probably up on time. So I'll quickly read out the questions, quick answers to some of the questions which people are asking you. So Lavanya Singh is asking you, sir, how do you stay updated in such a fast changing field?
Uh, a very tough question to answer, but yes, you have to keep reading, keep yourself open to the new technologies that are coming up. That's the only way out because the way technology is moving, the pace, at least you have to be at 80%, if not 100%, to be aligned to the need of the industry.
Great, of course, goes without saying. Advait Singh is asking you, how long does it take to build a whole smart monitoring system?
Whole smart.
Whole, na WHOLE, whole, full
Okay.
smart monitoring.
Small. It takes years. It will take probably if you start depending upon the type of complex thing that you are trying to build. Suppose you are just trying to build a level instrument, which is a ultrasonic type or a radar type. I believe a year will be idle time before you can test and launch it to the market. Uh, when you talk about analytical equipment like what we do, the fiber optic based systems, possibly 2 3 years minimum that is needed to reach to a point where you can at least see the signals coming in. And then your analytics, the software development, more you use the ML AI these days, the better is your product. But for that, you need data from the field to train your metrics. So unless you use it, you cannot get the data because simulated data are not exactly the same as your field data. So simulated data is something that you are simulating and you can control that. But when it comes from the field, it's different. So uh, it's very difficult to tell you or give you a thumb rule for designing or developing a whole system. But from a small system, as I said, the complexity will decide or clear the time that you need basically to design and develop a system, plus the manpower that you have, the resources.
Do you have a do we have a challenge of getting competent manpower in India?
Very much, very much. Because as you have said, we have discussed the brain drain. Uh, I don't get technicians to work on the field who understands how a signal travels on a fiber optic cable. I struggle to get that type of people, competent people. Forget about the people who can understand the board, who can understand the complex design of the board or the processing or filtering. That I'm not getting into that part of it, but the basic requirements what we have. Networking, yes, you get good people, but the moment it comes to optics, very limited people are there because optics is something which I believe uh, we don't have a big market in India. We never had, which is growing now. So all the people who did something in the optics went abroad.
Okay, understood. So that's probably a field where there could be a lot of jobs in India,
Yep,
youngsters, if you're listening in.
it's coming up.
So
It's coming up fast.
so okay, so I think we'll take two more questions. So Meera
Okay,
Chavan is asking, do you think that this tech could ever become as common as mobile phones
this tech. You're talking about the fiber optic technology. Basically,
and
that's what
sensing and I think instrumentation, which you
uh,
are saying?
it, it is already as a mobile phone now. I give all the signals, all the alarms on the phone, on your email. So it depends how you want to configure because now all my, as I said, the elephant alarms are going via IoT to the railway driver. So it's already on his phone. So yes,
Mhm.
possibly it won't be for people to talk or design and configure a system over phone. But yes, all the alarms, all the uh, needed informations you can easily get on the phone if you have the network available. Because that is again a challenge. Because if you go to defense, if you go to oil and gas, they don't allow you to connect to the outside network. So unless you
Correct.
connect to outside network, you don't have a phone connectivity because you don't have internet. So a lot of new technologies like LoRa, like IoT is coming up, which basically allows you to make your own small network and communicate. So things are happening. Possibly, we even configure the level instruments now through Bluetooth using the phone. So you don't have to go up on a 10-meter tank and configure the system. You stand below, connect with a Bluetooth, do the calibrations on the system, upload, done, come back. So yes, it's now as easy as phone now.
Yeah, Amir, I mean, I echo what Shubhendu just said because even in the industry where I work, mobile phones are used frequently by the operations staff wherever they are allowed to be operated and where there is a network. Otherwise, like he said, that there are other options like Bluetooth, etc., which they use. So we'll take the final question, Shubhendu, which is from Anand Sharma. Anand is asking you, what advice would you give someone who wants to work with smart technology?
The best advice would be start working. That is the best way to get into this. Because as I said, the technology is moving every day. Morning you wake up, go for new things coming up, you will find something new from some
Correct.
part of the world. So unless you get into the groove, you get involved,
Very true.
the thinking and waiting for the right opportunity is not going to happen ever.
Yes.
Jump
So you learn
and
swimming,
learn.
Anand, by getting into the water, and that's what
Exactly.
Shubhendu means. So
Exactly.
you
You
just
have
need
to
to get
dive
started.
for the first time,
Just
and then
dive in. Yeah,
it's easy.
exactly.
Yeah.
Superb, superb. So, Shubhendu, it was a fantastic conversation, not just because it was a personal conversation, but it was very enlightening and knowledgeable, even for me. A lot of learning in this conversation. I'm sure it was same for the viewers who had logged in, and I hope some of our old college mates had also logged in. So it would be good to, kind of see both of us talking after so many years about engineering of all things. So, great stuff, and I also hope some people from the PSUs have also probably will had have watched it or will watch the recording later, because we want to. The purpose of this episode was to usher in the change that is needed, and straight from the horse's mouth, somebody who is at the thick of things in Atmanirbhar Bharat mission for India, and we believe very strongly in this. We really want to give it back to our country, and in a good way, and we want to build our country, make it self-reliant. And Shubhendu and his organization, his team, they are a glaring example of how Indians of today are doing it under the present political leadership. So thank you, Shubhendu. Great pleasure, and thank you again.
Thank you, Anne, for inviting me. It was really a great session. Thanks.
Thank you, Team Thinkly. Thank you, Kashish. Thank you, Ria. Thank you, Ganesh,
Yeah, thank
Karishma,
you,
and
everybody
everybody else. Thank
from
you.
Tingley. Thank you.